Well, hello and welcome to our first video here on the channel. I am Raiden. This is
Blood Honey.
Blood Honey, yes. Now with this, we're basically going down a path of horror films here. So it's more or less her reaction to famous horror films because I am essentially a horror fan myself. I've seen a lot of the well-known horror films. She, not so much.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so with the first one here, we decided to start with the original John Carpenter classic, Halloween. And she's only seen it, what, once, you said?
Just less than five. Less than 5 times. I know. I'm so bad. So horrible.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll just... So yeah, that's the idea. It's essentially going to be her review reaction as we kind of go down the series, and her dog's in the background, Shelby, so you may be hearing that. Thank you for that. Yeah, so we're basically just going down her review and reactions to the series itself, and we'll do other films along the way. We don't know exactly what order we're going to be doing this, but we're just here to start this off. So Halloween 1978 is, of course, John Carpenter's classic horror film. I mean, we all know it. It essentially made the horror slasher, the modern day slasher, what it is today. It's very well known. It's very iconic. And so what is your view on this film overall?
It's very good. It obviously, duh, it's a classic. It's well, I don't know what else you want me to say. It's succinct. It's very good.
Yeah, well, for someone like you who's not really into horror, it doesn't really scare you or anything like that. It doesn't really.
Well, no, I had technically seen it before, but I guess the regular Joe might be scared in some manner of speaking. I mean, it's suspenseful.
So just in general, horror, like, wouldn't it be your forte? Like, for whatever reasons, would it be like gore, or just what essentially keep you away from it, though?
I don't really know why I never got into it. It just, I mean, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just me being more of a girl, so to speak.
So what are you trying to say?
I don't.
Girls can't watch horror movies? That's what
No. I don't know. Maybe it's just because my parents were never really into it or something.
That's fair.
Aside from one or two things that really weren't like super scary, you know.
Well, see, what makes this one really great is that is the atmosphere and just how simple of a film that it actually is. It's a guy in a plain white mask going around stalking babysitters, and it doesn't have a lot of heavy effects of any sort. Actually, there's very little blood in it, actually. But it's the suspense, it's the atmosphere, it's the character of Michael and the mystery behind him. And what really helps this film to me is Donald Pleasence. I mean, there's really no argument that he helps ground the film. Because if it didn't have him, I would say it would still be essentially as big as it is. You have Jamie Lee Curtis as the scream queen, the final girl, the kind of, be the one to get behind by the end of the movie and all of that. But he's the one that kind of, because not like the other big horror ones like Elm Street and Friday the 13th don't really have a character like Loomis that kind of goes throughout most of the movies to kind of help implement the idea of Michael and his whole nature. So what do you think of him in this movie?
Of Michael or
of Loomis, of the Loomis character? Yeah.
Obviously, I think he's very important to the movie because, I mean, without the bit in the beginning, and then if you take him out from the rest of the film, it's like, what's really going on here? What's Okay, so there's some creep killing people. I don't really get it, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like it probably could have been that. Like if you didn't have Loomis, it could have been like just starting off. Oh, this crazy guy escaped, and he's, going off, stalking these people. He could just had random cop characters being like, oh, we got to get this guy. But yeah, he has this extra layer to it because the monologue, especially because you mentioned when watching this as to. So is Michael possessed? Like, what is he now? What is your thoughts on as to why and how Michael does what he does?
Well, because Loomis was saying that he's like evil personified, like he's in the dark soulless eyes. That's evil. That's usually indicative of a possession.
So you would say flat out that you think that he's possessed, just
Somehow he like a demon or the devil or whatever grabbed hold and just there you go. Because how else do you explain that you can shoot him and stab him and all that and he just gets back up?
yeah,
I mean, he'll be down for like a minute, but
yeah. I mean,
how else do you explain it?
yeah. I mean, that's more or less the idea of what John Carpenter was going for. Is that it's not strictly meant to be known what it is. Like, is he possessed? Is it supernatural? To some degree, it's kind of blurs that line that he's more or less a man. He's more or less a man. Like, yeah, you could probably kill him, but, what drives him? Is it specific people? Is it, is this otherworldly possession? I mean, you could argue that point. That's what makes it interesting. I mean, as you go more into the sequels, which we'll get to eventually, they kind of delve deeper into what drives them and what makes them do that. And like I said, for better or worse, I mean, you could argue that works, but it's really the mystery aspect of Michael and why he does that. Is that, yeah, he is essentially a man, but he's just this blank slate, and that's why he's actually referred to as the Shape. And the mask itself helps also embody that, just this white blank slate of a person. And that's, what there's no rhyme or reason. He's just a shark. He just kind of drives. And you said as to why you think he's going after Lori and the other girls, right?
Well, yeah.
Like, is there a
Lori
specific
didn't
reason?
Really do anything,
Yeah, it's just like maybe like because you would think his drive is to go back to his home, to his own like sort of hunting grounds, if you will. Maybe just sort of came across their path and it's just like, this is where I'm heading towards, so that's my target essentially. So
okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of what makes Michael interesting and above a lot of other horror slashers, I would say. Is that just that embodiment of evil? Like, what is he? He doesn't say anything. He's just this blank slate. But yeah, that's what makes for an interesting debate about the character. Now, how you feel about Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie?
Well, obviously she did a good job. There's. What do you want me to say specifically?
I mean, do you think? I mean, like, do you actually like considering like the standard where she's held up to? Do you think like she's like, yeah, she's good, or it's just like, do you think she deserves the praise she gets for being the scream queen, the final girl, if you will, of this movie?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I can acknowledge when, someone did something well, and you can't, you can argue some other people might be better than her, sure, but it's like the original sort of scary movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, because she's held to, I mean, for some, arguably the best, final girl, but I feel like she didn't necessarily like make or break this movie. Again, to me, it was Donald Pleasence as Loomis. Like I said, he was like the one actor that they got, to kind of like again help kind of ground it. So I mean, because she technically could have not done much after this in a sense, like if she had been just another, like no name person, just kind of, she's serviceable. So I mean, I would say like in later films, especially when you get down towards the end of the franchise, is when you get full on Jamie Lee Curtis, you get full on like more layered performance, if you will.
As essentially more experience.
Yeah.
As you go along, I guess I suppose it could have been someone else in that role, and they could have had this illustrious horror career.
Yeah, but I mean, because definitely, I mean, after this, next to like I would say John Carpenter himself, yeah, she did go on to be the biggest star of this, and also next to Donald Pleasance, but he was already established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a video for another day. We can get into that.
Yeah. So overall, how, like, say 1 to 5, how would you rate Halloween?
Well, I want to give it a 5 because it's a classic. There's really good people in it. It built the suspense and the one kill. That was definitely impressive.
Yeah,
just
what the
shot.
The knife,
the knife, and he's hanging in the kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I would say that is the most iconic kill in the movie.
And the part towards the end when she like stabbed him and they came out of the closet, she's just kind of sitting there, and then you see him sit up and look.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good too. But it's totally it's a 5. I don't see it being anything less than that.
Okay, well, I would agree with that. Now I have a couple of quick questions here for you, sort of like a pop quiz. Okay, what famous actor is the Michael Myers mask based off of?
See, I was gonna mention something because I remember hearing that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Because isn't it just a Captain Kirk mask?
Correct. Yes, it is. Yeah, it was basically a Captain
a
Kirk mask.
Out.
And I think they like took the eyebrows or something off of it and they painted it white. So it's basically a Ben Shatner mask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
remember hearing that. I don't remember where.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What other famous actor was offered the role of Loomis? Okay. Hint: he was also a Bond villain, because Loomis was Blofeld in You Only Live Twice.
This one I don't know.
It was Christopher Lee.
Was it really?
Yes.
Shut
he was.
up.
Yeah, he was actually offered the role. He had turned it down. I think later on he went to say he kind of regretted turning it down.
Well, he's done some really fantastic work.
I mean, he's Christopher Lee.
You have to go 20 years before that. Even.
Yeah.
And a little, further than that, because there's a black and white movie that he did that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and he did some really fantastic work in some Dracula movies.
Definitely.
So.
All right. Last question. Okay, who is Jamie Lee Curtis's famous mother, who was also a scream queen?
Oh.
And what movie? What movie was she famous for?
I know I should know this one. Why? Why are you doing this to me? I can't remember her name, but I know. Stop it! I don't remember.
It is Janet Leigh, and she was famous for Psycho.
Yeah, that's the one.
She was for the famous shower.
Ring shower.
Yep.
That's the one. I knew that.
So like her mother before her, she went on to, be the star of the template for the modern day slasher, for years to come. So. All right, so that's that for that video. I hope you enjoyed watching. We certainly enjoyed doing this, and this is just the first of. So we're finding our footing, but we had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. So, I want to say goodbye to the people. See you next time.